is a fun little headstand combined with pole shape to challenge your balance. So for this, you've been working on your headstands, you're feeling fairly comfortable with them and ready to add a little extra challenge. We're going to take away a hand, but the good news is we're going to replace it with a pole. So for this one, I find stability-wise, it actually feels more stable, at least for me personally, holding onto the pole than it does just with my hands on the floor, because you do have a little bit more control front and back versus normally in a headstand, you can push, but you can't really pull. Okay, so there's all kinds of variations that you can do with the shape, but let's talk about what's happening with our hand position. First and foremost, protection. I don't know about all of you, but doing headstands on a hard floor, if I'm just doing it once, it's not so bad. If I'm doing it a bunch of times, playing around with shapes, I want a little cushion on my noggin. So I would recommend, if you're on a hard floor, putting down a yoga mat, or I just put my sweatshirt down. That works too. Just something right where your head's gonna go, okay? So let's look at the hand position. My hand that is farther away from the pole is going to go down on the floor. It's up to you whether you prefer having your fingers facing forward or backwards. To me personally, I usually prefer my fingers facing backwards. I feel like that gives me a little more push going up into it, but personal preference. Sometimes I turn them the other way, okay? So you can have them facing whichever, or even out to the side if you prefer that. The outside hand is in that tripod shape. So if my head is down, it's gonna be, kind of here. You don't want to have it right next to your head because then that takes away from your stability, okay? So similar to a tripod headstand shape. The inside hand is going to reach around to the opposite side of the pole, okay? And this is the part I feel sometimes gets a little bit confusing. So just to show you where the hand positioning is for takeoff, my head is going to go just in line with the pole, roughly. It doesn't have to be exact, and not too close, because remember, you got to have room for that inside shoulder. So my head is not going to be touching the pole at all. Whether your shoulder's touching the pole or not, that's up to you, okay? So the farther away you are from the pole, of course, the less stability you're going to get from this hand that is on the pole. So my head's going to go down. My outside hand is out in that tripod shape. My inside hand is going to reach through and then reach up, okay? And I'm basically wrapping elbow, forearm, and I'm just grabbing in a regular true grip, okay? If you prefer, some kind of a funky claw, a cup grip, however it just feels best to you, I'm just grabbing in a regular true grip, okay? So now that we've got hand position covered, inside hand is reaching through and then up, so you feel it kind of in that elbow pit and all along your forearm. Your outside hand is in a tripod shape, roughly a 90-degree at that elbow. So lift off. Depending on how comfortable you are with your headstand, if you've been working on them and you're pretty comfortable with your pike press, awesome, go for it. I would say with this, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to fall over out of my headstand, so kicking up into it can feel a little bit sketchy. On the upside, you do have a pole that you can kick, and if you do kick, you at least catch the pole, and that can kind of help you find your stability. Better yet, I like to try and find control by using my bent arm and putting my legs on it. So let's look at a couple of variations on getting up. First is, okay, if you have your pike, awesome. We're going to go through, heads in position. If you're comfortable with your pike, you can pike it up to whatever leg position that you want. If pike is still a work in progress, my recommendation would be to use this elbow and place your legs on it, okay? One little side note, this hand that is on the pole, I do find the higher up the pole it is, the more stability I feel, because then I feel like I actually have some pull with that arm, okay? So make sure you do reach it up. Sometimes I kind of have to adjust, as initially I put my hand in place and then I feel like I can get a little more height, so I would encourage you to challenge yourself, reach higher and you will feel more stability, okay? So if the pike is still a work in progress, we're gonna start same position here, but now I'm gonna place my knee on my elbow. I'm gonna use that elbow so I can lift the other leg. Here you have a starting shape, right here. If that feels good, it's easier to lift from here than it is feet from the floor, is you can then work on going into your shapes from here. Okay, so whether you're comfortable going all the way up to a pike or whatever shapes feel best to you. Okay, so from here, either you're piking straight into it or from this knees on elbow, we're going to take our inside leg and reach it to the pole. Once that feels comfortable, you can reach down with the other leg Then from there, I'm actually going to rotate my hips away from the pole until my butt cheek kind of rests on the pole roughly where my hand is. Option, this outside foot, I can place my foot on the pole to give me a little bit different shape, plus gives me a little bit of stability because now my butt cheek and my foot are both pushing into the pole. So you can keep it in that one leg bent, one leg straight, or in that splitty move, or a bend, or whatever variation that you want to have. So with this one, you can make whatever shapes you want. You can always take this as a way to go up the pole, that inside leg, if you're looking for some kind of a ground move to kind of tie together your floor work and your pole combo for a performance piece, a competition, or just challenging yourself to put together a combo. You could hook that leg into like a brass sit and climb it up from there, okay? Or from there, you can take it back down to the floor. I'm wearing pants, in case you didn't notice. You can do this one without skin. But that being said, depending on how stable you are in your headstand and depending on how much support you want from your pole, if you do have bare skin on that inside leg, especially if you are kind of still wanting to kick up a little bit into it and you're going to use that inside leg to help you kind of catch yourself, having some skin, especially behind the knee of that inside leg, will definitely work to your advantage. Can you do this in pants? Yes. Will you have more grip with bare skin? Yes. Personal preference. Depends on how comfortable you are with your headstands, depending on how comfortable you are with your pole. You choose, okay? So play around with this one. I would say though, regardless of whether you have skin on your legs, I do find significantly easier if I do have some grip on my elbow. I mean, you can do it once again with long sleeves and reach up the pole. Personally, I needed my sweatshirt for my head, so I didn't really have that option because, you know, I choose to have a little cushion on my head versus some warmth on my elbows. So play around with the shape. There's all kinds of variations. One little thing on this, yes, it can be a straddle shape. I'm actually shifting my hips, as I pointed out. I'm rotating my back more to the pole, so it ends up in more of a vertical split, okay? But once again, this shape is just an idea. Play around with it, find what angles are most complementary to you, the angles that work for, you know, what you're going for your preference, for your flexibility, which are most flattering, or just, like I said, personal preference and style. So, headstand combined with pole, make some shapesies, have some fun.